Hi, and welcome to Real Talk, where we do different social experiments to observe people's reactions to certain situations and events. This week, we interview NHS students about how they feel about being a teenager in high school. Our first question: I miss virtual school. I'm going to start with disagree.
I absolutely hated virtual school. All I did is skip class and play Among Us.
I definitely do not miss virtual school. I did not learn anything, but I do miss the being able to do school in my pajamas and in my bed.
Yeah, I sort of feel a similar way. For the most part, I really did not like virtual school, and it was not good for my learning. But sometimes I do kind of just miss being at home when I'm tired, but that's really it.
I agree. I feel like it was sometimes nice to just stay home, but mostly it was just hard to make connections with anybody, and it was just mostly just made me miserable. So.
Well, I definitely didn't have the best time. I felt like school-wise, I had the best grades and did the best in virtual school. Definitely was a little lonely, but I do kind of miss most of the aspects of it.
I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. Definitely as well, like you as well, I did quite well in virtual school. It was nice to be able to finish all my assignments before school even started and just sort of laze around as I did the Zoom calls. Also, the fact that I didn't have to commute meant that I had a lot more time in the mornings, and I was able to just kind of take that time to really, do some self-improvement and become a healthier person.
I am glad I go to a public school.
I think there are a lot of resources available at private schools that put people who go to public schools at a disadvantage, which isn't necessarily fair, but there are a lot of interesting people here, and the sports are quite good. So I'm happy going to a public school, but there are also advantages to going to private school.
I think you can gain more real life advantages in public school rather than private school, because I feel like you can get more social advantages here, dealing with real people and actual people, you're meeting friends and just having that advantage.
I agree. I think that when it comes to public school, you meet a lot more varieties of people, and it does, I think, private school gives you advantages when it comes to money, but I think a lot of the times private schools are actually just more unhealthy for kids, and they have a lot more competitiveness to them that I think public schools don't as much. So.
Yeah, public education is something I'm really passionate about. I think it's really important that education be available to all people, and I think public schools should be better funded. And of course, we go to a very well-funded, privileged public school, and I recognize that. But I'm just very glad to be participating in the system of public education that I believe so strongly in. And also echoing what other people have said, I think it's important to not just only interact with one kind of people, and I think that can happen very easily at a private school.
I agree with Ada. I also very strongly believe in the system of public education, and very strongly believe in higher funding and moving more towards public education for everyone. So I am very glad that I'm able to participate in that system and be able to kind of show how beneficial public education can be when given the resources needed and all of that.
Schools should discipline students for off-campus behaviors, especially on social media.
I really don't think that students should be disciplined for what they're doing outside of school for the most part. I think that it isn't exactly the school's business what people are doing, and I think that if it's affecting people inside of school, like if someone's being bullied outside of school, I think that can be talked about. But I do think for the most part, it doesn't seem fair to hold something like what you post on social media against you when that really isn't something that your public school should be looking at all. So, yeah.
Yeah, I basically agree with everything Alice said. And like, especially, you know, we don't have like a very strict dress code or anything here, but like imagining a school that did, like if you got in trouble for like engaging in behaviors that the school thought were immoral, but that like you didn't and many people didn't, like that doesn't seem fair. And I agree, like I think you have a right to like a personal life and you like a right to do things and not have them affect how you're treated in school.
I agree with what they said, but I also think if it's going to cause a danger to themselves or others, then I think somebody needs to step in, either the parents or like guidance counselors. And especially if it's brought to guidance counselors' attention, then they should definitely step in. But with what you guys said, like dress code and stuff like that, definitely should not be the school's business.
I think there are a lot of areas in which it's not the school's place to like involve themselves in that, because that's not necessarily what the school is for. If it does impact other students' well-being and whatnot within the school, then that does become a school issue. But if it's just separate from school, then that shouldn't be a problem. Like I had a principal once who tried to punish people for playing with snow at the bus stop, and that just didn't feel reasonable.
Like one example of like say you're cyberbullying like outside school and stuff. I think there are like things in place to like laws and the platform used to like stop that from happening. The school doesn't necessarily need to take action. If it does get to like a certain amount, maybe then yes, but not always.
Well, I do agree with things that were said. I think there are lines that shouldn't be crossed when it comes to discipline, when it like out of school, in school. But I think a major role of schools is to prepare people for adult life and having a job and being in that world. And part of that is taking accountability for your actions inside and outside of either your place of school or work. And I think that purely having no discipline for actions on social media specifically can cause a lot of people to have this false, almost like a false thought about what a digital footprint means and what it means to be on social media. If you're posting things that are offensive, not necessarily relating to school, you're not bullying anyone, but they're things that are not necessarily appropriate, I think that there should be some kind of action from the school, because if you go to apply to colleges or get a job, they're going to look at your social media and they're going to say, oh, we don't want this person because of what they've posted. So if we're not teaching kids that what they post has consequences in professional and academic life, then we're not preparing them correctly for that life.
Thanks so much for watching. If you're interested in being on Real Talk, DM NHS Technology to get more information.